Hello and welcome to Taurean Tarot. In today's video, I am creating a visual journal entry to represent the card that I selected as my Safety Significator in my Healing with Tarot series. In that video, we're continuing our work with the root chakra, and I was exploring how the energy I'm holding in my root chakra affects my sense of safety. Learned a lot of interesting things and valuable lessons from that, so I'll make sure I link that in the card so you can check that out. And in order for you to have context for this drawing, I ultimately selected the Emperor to signify the energy I want to hold in my root chakra, and that represents my sense of safety. And while the Emperor itself is an authority figure, which for some could automatically provide that sense of safety, I go deeper into this in the video for my Healing with Tarot series, but I ultimately chose the Emperor card because it reminds me of my father. Part of that is the authority figure. He also stands for a father figure when you learn more about the Emperor in Tarot. But he also stands for logic, stability, all characteristics that my father holds. And my father has always been a sense of safety for me. Just knowing that he's there, he's someone that I run to if I need help with something, if I need advice on a situation, especially when it comes to practical things like money or things with my house. He's just always the first phone call that I make. So to me, the Emperor made sense. When it came to putting that on paper for my visual journal, I wasn't quite sure how I wanted to represent that. Now, I could have used my tarot stickers, which I absolutely love using, and put the Emperor in a scene or just made him the whole focus. Or I could have pulled from the card and used some of the symbols, like the ram is heavily represented in the Emperor card. But I felt that I should ultimately go with the reason why I chose that card, and with him reminding me of my dad. So I wanted to go with something that represent a father protecting his daughter. And again, there was a multitude of ways I could do that. But when I was really diving deep into the Emperor card itself and working with my tarot journal and describing why I chose the Emperor card, my mind went to the Strength card, which is a girl and a lion, because ultimately that's what the Emperor is. He's strength, he's authority. So in the Strength card in traditional tarot, you have the girl taming the lion, in which ultimately the lion protects the girl because he respects the girl, he's by the girl's side. So I was kind of playing off of that idea. So I was sketching things out, I was looking up images on the internet, and I came across one that was very similar to this that I heavily pulled inspiration from. And that's part of the reason why I started off with a sketch as opposed to me normally sketching it out and then going into the coloring. I sketched so many times, I just kept cutting it out. So I finally just decided to take my time, sketch it out, and start the video from there. So I finally had an idea laid out, and then I had to figure out how I wanted to bring them to life. You know, before I started this series, I was very much more into black and gray art. I prefer to do that into shade. And I think I've only done maybe one other artwork with an animal before, and that was for a tattoo design I did for my cousin of her dog. I just never was able to really pull on the details that bring an animal to life on the page. So I just tended to stay away from that. I'm more of a landscape artist, and when I do portraits, they're more whimsical. So this entire drawing was completely outside of my comfort zone. I was a little intimidated by it at first. I was definitely nervous to do it on camera. But the more I let go of that and I just focused on the little details at a time, the more I saw the drawing itself coming to life on the page, the more confidence I gained. You know, on top of being artistic and creative, I'm also a very analytic person and a problem solver. So for me, this was more of a puzzle. Like, okay, which color can I put on this spot to help bring this to life? And that's how I approach a lot of my art too. And I think it ultimately paid off. This isn't a masterpiece, but for being outside of my comfort zone, I'm very happy with how this turned out. I'm very proud of myself for doing this. And most importantly, I think it really brings out the message and the meaning that I wanted it to have. So I had it all outlined in pencil, and then I took my alcohol markers to bring in the color. To start off with the lion, I pulled a lot of reference images off of Google to help pick out the colors that I wanted for the lion. And I just went with like a golden yellow, an orange, some darker browns, and one of my markers that I use for my skin tones, just for that little spot on his face. And I just started playing with colors, started laying them down, blending them. And then when I had the base down, I took those darker brown colors and went in to add the texture of the fur and the shadows that you see towards the bottom of his mane. And I didn't think it was possible, but I feel like I pulled it off pretty well. And then for the girl, I have a skin tone marker set that I used. I'm not comfortable with working with traditional color when I'm doing these portraits. Again, I'm used to doing black and gray. So I know that the colors that I chose and how I laid them out aren't fully correct, but I'm still happy with how she turned out. I feel like I got some good shading and highlighting in there. And one day this might be a drawing I might come back to once I have improved those skills and redo, so I can see where I came from and where I'm at that point. I think that would be fun to see side by side. I have the majority of the drawing done. I just went in and added that extra lion fur by her hair, going in with my Sharpie to add the finer details and the outlines. I'm just adding some final shading to her face. Then I'm going in with that blue-green for her top. Now I chose the color of the top in her hair, the blue and the purple, to contrast with all the oranges that are in the colors of the lion. And I really like how they pop against each other. Then I'm going to finish up the drawing by adding the affirmation I created for the Emperor card. And you'll see it at the end as well. But it says, I feel protected in the presence of the Emperor, and I look to his stable energy and points of logic to guide me in my journey to strengthen my root chakra. Once I have that written out, I'm just going in and adding the root chakra symbol. And that's more for the visual journal portion of it, because I want to have the root chakra represented in each of these drawings, so that when I'm ultimately done with this visual journal for the series, I'll be able to have it in sections for each of the chakras. So that is my interpretation of the Emperor card, and me stepping very much outside of my comfort zone. You know I've done nothing but color work for this visual journal, but that really is not my strong point. So I'm using this visual journal for so many different things. I'm using it to go deeper into the lessons I'm learning with the tarot healer. I'm using it to expand on the skill set I already have with art, and then going beyond that and adding to that skill set, really developing my color work. So this journal is just doing so many different things for me, and I'm really loving it. I really look forward to sitting down and making these videos and creating the art. Before this, I was very sporadic with my art. I would just get into bouts where I was feeling that creative flow and really wanted to pick up a paintbrush or pick up a pencil, but this is making it consistent for me, where at least once a week I'm getting in there and I'm creating something. So my solar plexus is absolutely loving this, and I look forward to creating more. And you'll be seeing that soon with my next visual journal entry, where I'm creating a visual representation of another chakra assessment. This again comes from the last video I did for my Healing with Tarot for the safety portion of the root chakra chapter. So if you want to see that, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell so you know when that video goes up. And until then, take care and be well.